A statement nearly 4 months in the making. We finally returned to the world of racing to tell you finally that the Pro Series is back. It's an AK Esports UK production alongside Mike Nouse. My name is Jackson Lambros. We're thrilled to have you back for the 2026 edition of the World of Racing Pro Series. Mike, let's tee this one up. Two
Yeah, we
races
have
on deck tonight. Some of the best racers across America here, whether it's in Kansas City or obviously our West Coast centers. Should be very, very exciting to see these racers back on track.
We're here at the largest sim center in the world as well, might I add. This is, of course, for World of Racing, provided as well by the Sigma Intergale motion simulators that are used there. And we're back for the Pro Series, everybody. As you said, Jackson, we have all different walks of life come into this one with all sorts of different parts of the globe. Well, mostly in the West Coast, but also in the Midwest. We have Kansas City, Kansas. We have Phoenix, Arizona, as well, the newest location as well for the World of Racing. And then on top of that, of course, Pasadena and Tustin, the classics, the ones that we know and love and have been to ourselves, which is a great time. If you are in that area, of course, do head on down, get involved, go test out the top of the line motion simulators. And when we say top of the line, we mean top of the line. It is absolutely incredible. But Jackson, we're here tonight for the Pro Series return, and we get to head down to Mexico. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the venue and the store that we have for us tonight?
Part of what makes this series so unique, Mike, the track and car combination, something that's a little bit enigmatic for each of these competitors coming into each and every weekend. And this weekend is no different. Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez in the heart of Mexico in Mexico City, and a very interesting car to boot as well. Mike, let's send it trackside to fully unveil to the folks at home and center side what we're dealing with.
And as we get into it here, Jackson, we get a lovely view of the brilliant Nissan R390 GT1s, a 3.5-liter twin-turboed V8. That's a boatload of horsepower, Jackson, not too many assists. This is an older car that these drivers are tackling.
Plenty of turbo lag. You're seeing Chris Lovell here kind of manage that as well as going over the curbs as we are running. By the way, the Formula One layout here in Mexico City, slightly different configuration. They have both for NASCAR as well as the World Endurance Championship, Formula E, and the NASCAR Mexico Series. Obviously already calling this venue home. But you talk about the R390 GT1, Nissan's bid at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and you look at Jaguar staff moving over from Tom Walkinshaw Racing, getting a good chunk of cash from the folks in Japan to try and make themselves a beast to compete at the biggest endurance race of the world. We ride on board with Chris Lovell here, working his way down through the end of the first sector. Again, very long straightaways here as this VR35L, very similar DNA to the Infinity engine that would ultimately come to fruition in the IRL, would ultimately become also a lineage of V8 powertrains that would pretty much go all the way down to McLaren's road cars in the MP412C. Twin turbocharged 90-degree V8, depending on the day and the size of the turbo or how much boost you get. Nothing ever fully official, but definitely well in the ballpark of 750 horsepower. Of course, Mike, considering the altitude we're at here in Mexico City, could be a little bit of a challenge to fully get all those horses down.
Oh goodness, this is going to be an absolute wild ride for these drivers, and so far we're seeing a very even field as well, surprisingly so, as I would imagine this car is not well practiced. The drivers, I do think, know the car and class ahead of time. But with Jonathan topping the time charts of 1:35.0, quite dominant over the rest of the field. I say that's just over the blink of an eye faster than Chris in second right now. Roman Lee as well down in third position, one of Kansas's drivers currently coming to the line and looking a little bit faster potentially, but no, not on this occasion. 1:35.3 still the time. But look at how close, Jackson, we see these times coming in.
Braden, Eli, and Pat coming in from the Pasadena centers. I think they were a little bit late to join as we had a handful, again, all four of the centers here in North America participating, and we're already seeing some guys having some issues dipping their toes in the water here. We mentioned it just jumping in here. Turbo lag is going to be a little bit of an issue here. The way this boost is laid out. Again, you talk about this tail end of Group C, just the start of the GT1 era. So many new venues, so many manufacturers, I should say, getting into endurance racing at the tail end of the decade. But very similar to what we're seeing right now, actually, Mike, in the hypercar and LMDH regulations of a lot of manufacturers coming in and out. And ultimately, 2 starts at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Ali Salame dipping a toe in the grass there at the end of the back straightaway. But definitely one of the more powerful motors these regulations had, but a lot of that power not coming in until about 3,000 or so RPM. So plain and simple, it is problematic if you are not used to driving these cars, because it is still just at the cusp of engine builders, teams, manufacturers really getting to harness that turbo lag and starting to diminish it.
Yeah, nowadays, of course, turbos, they're all fancy schmancy. You push the accelerator and it's like you're driving a naturally aspirated car. You get all the pre-spool technology. This car has absolutely none of it. If anyone has driven the Lotus 79 or 98T, they know a little bit about turbo lag as well, of course, being one of the more famous cars to be, driven around, especially, I think, this circuit as well at one point, potentially. But even still, to explain it in layman's terms a little bit more, when you get to that rev range, as Jackson was saying, around that 3,000 marker, your tires, they all of a sudden start to spin much, much, much quicker. And a lot of times your traction cannot keep up, and that can cause you to turn around quicker than a quick thing in Quicksville. So far, we haven't seen any of that, though, surprisingly. Jonathan looking awfully smooth at the wheel and continuing his trend at a 134.9 this time around, continuing to increase his pace.
Smooth stuff for him, nearly half a second up right now over Chris Lovell. Then it's Roman Lee. All of these guys about within half a second of one another. After that, Christopher Harrell, Ali Salame, Cody Derringer, Isaac, Braden, Eli, and Pat rounding out your field as we just get over 10 minutes for qualifying. For all of the avid gamers in chat, you might not recognize this version of the car. This Jonathan goes purple again in Sector 1. You definitely, if you've played Gran Turismo, know this car very well. The R390, the GT1 homologation model, again, required to make at least one road-going variant of this machine in part of the GT1 regulations in the late 80s, early 90s. Good driving there through that sector for Jonathan. Just had the back end sticking out, working through the S's back towards the baseball diamond. But only one road-going model ever made is currently sitting in Nissan's headquarters in Japan, but was modeled brilliantly in Gran Turismo 3 and 4, and was a very rare achievement car. I don't want to call it rare, but a very difficult car to achieve as part of one of the most difficult achievements in that game. This was the reward car for it, so definitely has become a part of especially on the Sony side, Gran Turismo Folklore. It's also appeared, obviously, in Forza, the Grid Series, Crew 2, PGR, Real Racing, even Asphalt Legends. So definitely a lot of racers, not necessarily strangers to this car, but maybe their first time getting behind the wheel in a full fidelity sim like the Assetto Corsa.
And this being a Race Sim Studio mod as well, brought to the R39, so a very, very well-developed mod team behind this, and pretty much the cream of the crop when it comes down to it. Now, we've talked a lot about the track and the car here tonight. Why don't we talk a little bit about this series? This is, of course, the second season of the Pro League here at World of Racing, and we have, again, some prizes that are going to be given out when all of this is said and done. First place receiving $125, second place receiving $100, and third, $75 respectively. The format as well tonight is going to be 2 20-minute races with a little break in between, and we're going to have a reverse grid come race 2. So the order will be shaken and thoroughly stirred, and any driver that maybe didn't have the best time coming in race 1 will have a good opportunity the second time around.
Absolutely, and again, as you mentioned, Mike, a little bit of a breather in between. So the best combined results from both of those races will be walking away with some cash, your entire podium, I should say. Look at this, Chris Lovell now going purple in Sector 1. We'll have to wait and see if he's got enough pace to potentially usurp. A lot of these guys finding a good amount of straight line. Looks like Isaac may be finding a little bit too much. You saw that front left smoke on the braking zone. Oh, my friend, you got to be so careful on exit there. It is loosey-goosey on exit coming out of turn number 4, and you just saw that big step out of the rear for Isaac. How's it looking for Christopher, though? P4 right now, no improvement in Sector 1, in Sector 2, and for a car that is optimized for the longest straightaways, the modified baseball arena, turns 13 to 16, definitely not a place that it's used to. But Mike, let's see if we can ride on board here with Chris Lovell and show you guys what a lap is like here at the world-famous Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez. Speeds north of 170 miles an hour as we work onto the anchors into turn number 1. Be careful with the sausage curbs here, as it will easily spit you out on track through the 2 and 3 left-right flick. And now another great run. Slight, long right-hander towards turn number 4. One of the most tight and technical spots on the track. Definitely could be an overtaking zone, though. We'll try and monster truck over the curbs here is Chris Harrell, and just have to really tiptoe with the right foot. Again, no ABS, no traction control, going a little bit wide there through 5 and 6, and then we're back on the loud pedal into one of the most challenging parts of the race course. The S is turn 7 all the way to turn 11, and for a car that's not got too much downforce despite that massive wing on the rear, it is going to be difficult for these guys to try and maximize as much straight line speed as possible, use as much of that little downforce as possible. Out of turn 11, back on the anchors again here for turn number 12. The former Mexican League baseball arena has now become the home of some of Mexican racing's most die-hard fans. Could this be an overtaking opportunity? We'll have to wait and see. Out of turn number 16 onto what's normally turn 1 here for the NASCAR Mexico Series. Work on our way back onto the front straightaway. Chris Harrell coming back to the line. Is there enough? No, not quite. 136.806. We'll have to wait and try another.
But getting down to it, though, the track rubbering in, getting quicker and quicker every lap we go. Christopher, not on this occasion, making it happen. Roman's still in the pit lane. He's going to come out with not too much time left and just a little bit of fighting chance. A big lockup for Chris as well. So the drivers, you can see they are pushing to their heart's content right now, so much so that Chris has pushed it off the track briefly. Now, one thing that I noticed as well, Jackson, when we went on that onboard lap, is just the sheer sound of this car. It sounds like a chainsaw having a sword duel with another chainsaw, and my goodness, is that just epic. Isaac as well here in the midsections, going quite slowly. I think he's just creating some space. No, I'm not sure what is happening here exactly. He's slowly lumbering into pit lane as Isaac practicing his pit entries. Roman's still not out. Eli with his lap as well, going to be coming to an end relatively shortly here. A bit deep through the final corner, but a 139.1 is the time now. As we get to the line, it's looking like a little bit of an improvement. Potentially, no. Not on this occasion. Going to have to re-rack, restack, and try again. 4.5 minutes left, Jackson, in qualifying, and this is going to be quite an important one. Now, overtaking is certainly doable here, especially down that start-finish straight, being your best opportunity to make a move stick. But once you get into that arena sector, these cars are going to get a little bit cumbersome.
Main overtaking opportunity, as you saw, Mike, almost a full 7.75 miles in between turn 17 and turn 1. That's obviously going to be a no-brainer as your main overtaking opportunity. Then the run between turns 3 and 4. But as we mentioned, this is a long wheelbase. There's not a lot of aerodynamics on this Nismo machine. Not even a front splitter, only that rear wing, which was pretty much just required by the ACO, by the way. Originally intended to run something much lower, much smaller when this car debuted in 97, but literally the ACO said this is not going to be safe enough for this thing to race going, well north of 200 miles an hour down Lasarth. We just saw two Mercedes try the exact same thing, and we're doing cartwheels down the back straightaway. You need a little bit more. So what is supposed to be a very slicked out car essentially means the highest speed parts of the racetrack are really going to be your main overtaking opportunities here.
A little bit of Colin Chapman inspiration potentially was founded in these machines. Make them light, make them fast, and make them fragile as well. The drivers maybe not quite the happiest with that construction, but that is neither here nor there. That is a fast car, and it's very, very fun to watch. That's one thing I love about this Pro Series, Jackson, is when we get down to the every single week, a different car, a different track, and ones that aren't necessarily the most popular. We don't have necessarily, I mean, we obviously have the MX-5s at your Laguna Secas every here now and then, but for the most part, every single week at World of Racing is a different experience. It's a great time, and for anyone that's interested, again, get down to World of Racing, get involved with the Pro League. There's a little bit of money on the line as well this time, and you can come out here and have a good time. And at the end of it, go and shake hands with your competitors, smile and laugh and say, wow, that was really fun. I enjoyed racing side by side, and you get to put a face to the names around you. What other way of driving would you want to go about it, especially with sim racing?
You want to know what's awesome, Mike? I feel like this has almost been a way for a lot of these drivers to learn some car track combos that they never thought about, but have kind of become regulars. Like, I've talked to a couple of individuals who race out in Tustin, and they were like, I mean, Ferrari challenge car at pit race never crossed my mind. But now if I've got an AC server and I've got like 5 friends that are down, that is like the go-to combo now. But a lot of very cool places that, I mean, I've never seen a competitive sim race at Estoril, the Bend Motorsports Park, a little bit more towards your neck of the woods, Mike, in Oregon. But just so many unique car and track combinations. And again, this is not necessarily a group of cars or a track that they aren't too unfamiliar with, but it's the fact that you're running something with such low downforce that, looking at the history here, I don't think actually ever got to turn laps in anger here in real life. And getting to mash those two together, we'll have to wait and see here in about 40 seconds or so what that's going to be like in a wheel-to-wheel environment. But I mean, that's the beauty of sim racing, right? You're able to put drivers in scenarios that, in the meat dimension, if you will, you simply can't do.
No, absolutely. Here I wanted to see as Jonathan comes to the line, a 1:34.9, still his time not really improved. Excuse me, 1:34.94. So he did manage to go about 20 thousandths slower than his previous lap, but he is trying to get every little piece that he can out now, and this is the final opportunity, the final chance, and Roman, oddly enough, has parked it in the pit lane, so Roman Lee is going to be retiring from the qualify. Well, not retiring from the qualify. He's going to be parking it in third at best, but Christopher going to have an opportunity to wring the neck as well here in the mid-sector. I'm not sure, though. He's been out for the whole qualifying. I think his tires at this point might be a little bit cooked. It's a hot track, and it's going to be a very slippery one as well. The beauty, though, there's not much elevation here, but this is being such a high elevation track, is going to play a role when it comes to the amount of slippage these cars are going to have.
We mentioned it earlier, one of the highest altitude metropolitans on planet Earth. Assetto Corsa does simulate, by the way, that thinner air. We'll talk to you a little bit more about that, but the checkered flag is out for round 1 qualifying. Chris and Roman Lee, you already mentioned, Mike, not able to get there. What on earth? Christopher Harrell decided to bow out of it early. Oh, that's because the timing stripe is where it is for Formula 1. It'll be right, I think, here?
Right here.
Interesting. I'm not entirely sure. There it is, yeah. Okay, so Isaac will actually keep his foot in it. We'll see if he's able to move forward. 136.573. Same with Braden as he's just working his way. I believe this is towards the baseball arena. Yes, it is, coming out of turn 11. And again, very tight and technical. Trail braking going to be, simply put, paramount if they want any hopes of maximizing the pace here. But again, you can't carry too much speed. We do have track limit violations in effect. So if you drop 4 tires over that white line, it is lap invalid. And try again out of turn 17 for the final time. Braden to get himself on the top half of this field. Comes to the stripe, 136.849 to beat. As he comes to the line, actually doesn't see the checkered flag yet, maybe because his lap was invalidated, but we will have to see. But there you go, Jonathan alongside Chris Lovell, going to be on your front row. Roman Lee, Christopher Harrell right behind.
A very tight qualifying in the mid-pack for certain here. We have a lot of 135s and, well, to be fair, Chris and Roman literally nuzzling up right next to each other as close as can be. Jonathan looking dominant, though, as it stands at the beginning of this qualifying. Now, qualifying doesn't mean much when it comes to the race pace. I would imagine, Jackson, that the slipstream is going to be quite powerful here in these cars. You know, you mentioned they're not really the most downforce inclined when all is said and done. So that could give some potential opportunities for some big slipstream trains to happen and some potential bumping and banging as well. I think these cars can take maybe a little more contact than a Formula car, maybe a little less than a GT.
I think you almost got to rely more on the latter than the former because, again, with that high altitude coming into play here, you've got less air to punch a hole through, and that essentially brings down the effect of the draft. So getting run's going to be a little bit less dependent on positioning your car, but just being able to make the most out of the ponies behind you. But I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. I think we're going to see a lot of these drivers be nip and tuck, especially through the baseball arena. But once we get through that S's from 7 to 11, I think that is absolutely just about applying the pressure, not making contact, but we talk about this so much, applying that invisible force, if you will, Mike, just being present in the guy's rearview mirror, trying to force it in. But we will have to wait and see here. I mean, there's so many different factors here. We've already seen so many of these guys try and test the waters, already pushing the limits of these machines. It's just going to be a matter of waiting and seeing how different they're going to be driving these cars in about a couple minutes time here when these cars get back out on track. But Mike, we're waiting here. We'll step aside for just a moment, let these guys take a breather, and then get on grid for round number 1. We'll step aside for just a moment. Stay with us. Getting ready to go here for race number 1 for the World of Racing Pro Series. Again, Jackson Lambros and Mike Naus. 10 drivers from across America ready to go to war here for race number 1. And we're starting to set the stage here, Mike. What are we kind of expecting here into turn number 1? How much reservation, if any, from these 10 guys, or do we think the gloves are coming off rather quick here?
That's a great question. And, I always ask that whenever it's the start of a season, because at the end of the day, a lot of these drivers, they don't know each other. We have some new names to the Pro League. We have some old names from the Pro League. And when they mix together, you have a lot of question marks. I know Jonathan, I think, being one of the newer names as well, and up at the front, has almost no idea what he's going to be up against. So we're going to see some, I would imagine, discretion in the first few laps, a lot of feeling out some people and what they're going to do, maybe some aggressive moves that aren't going to be fully committed to. But I think these drivers are going to be a little bit hesitant to start, and as we get into it, we will be seeing them get a little more aggressive.
You rewind the clock to round number 1 in Estoril with the Mustangs. It was overtake-inducing, to say the least. You got a high-powered race car and plenty of overtaking opportunities. Is this going to be the same case? We get on the grid and look to 6 red lights. They start coming on, and when they're off, Season 2 of the World of Racing Pro Series is underway. Chris Lovell's got a really good start here into turn number 1. Same for Chris Harrell, and contact already as they domino. I spoke too soon into turn number 1. Where on earth did Braden come from, as he's now your leader? Christopher Harrell trying to negotiate through turns 2 and 3, but it is big time carnage already to get us started. And Mike, we're going to try that again very quickly here.
Yeah, then hopefully for Jonathan, he can get a little better start this time. This is a bit of a redemption arc now for Jonathan on this start. He got absolutely left in the dust. He was asleep at the wheel to begin with, so Chris taking full advantage of that and then being rudely punted from behind from Braden, who came from downtown. Now, Jackson, let's try this again.
Second time's the charm here as the lights go out. And I want to say this is almost a VSC start, as there is a flyer going further back. Yeah, I think we'll have a VSC rolling restart here with how slow everyone's getting going. And I want to say Braden did not get the memo there because he was fired out like a cannon. But with it, if you were with us for the Pro Tour for Season 1, this is very much something we did a handful of times, primarily on the season opener, and kind of exactly what a little bit of a few of us predicted here before we came back to you. But again, if we get a little bit too chaotic during the initial start, we'll do one rolling lap, and then we'll come back to it for a single file restart. So we'll re-rack him. Jonathan goes back to the front now. Chris Lovell, Roman Lee, Christopher Harrell, Ali Salame, rounding out your top 5. And now this makes it a very different ball game. Once again, the clock is already rolling. You don't want to say cautions breed cautions here, Mike, but you almost feel like these guys now have less time on the clock to make moves. This could maybe make tensions a little bit bigger here.
Oh, almost certainly. And with that single file start, it will make it a little bit better for these drivers. But the one thing I think that we've seen from both of these starts is the turbo makes a big difference. You have to get that start just right. Otherwise, you have to wait 3 to 5 business days for your engine to get the memo that you actually want to go in the forward direction. It's going to be down to your right foot and timing it properly, making sure you don't just hit your brake before you go or lift off the throttle before you go. I think this is going to be a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the positions, and pretty much look at the numbers that you see now. I don't think we're going to be seeing too many in the same positions by the end of lap 1.
If you've done a standing start in Assetto, of course, you kind of know the drill. You almost got to find that sweet spot in the rev range. If you do have a turbo vehicle, to make sure that you are in the proper power band to get a proper launch off the line. That's not going to be a problem for Jonathan this time. After it caught him out in the standing start, he is in control of this pack as we are ready to go back to green. Now 17 and a half minutes on the clock. We go back racing very quickly. You've got Christopher Harrell already, though, wasting no time again, trying to make moves. Chris and Roman Lee gonna lock horns on the front straightaway. Roman Lee getting a little bit of that a little bit of that slipstream, I should say, as we work our way into turn number 1. Once again, who's got the dive into turn number 1? Chris is very late on the brakes. Another driver going around further back. I want to say that is Christopher Harrell, who went around coming through 1, 2, and 3. Isaac gaining a handful of positions. Now he's slow on the exit. Did he potentially miss a gear? Did he upshift while trying to play hot potato with the steering wheel? We don't know yet, but what we do know for sure is Jonathan will remain as your race leader. And for the third time, we're going to try this once again.
I figured that something was amok when everybody slowed down there. I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, it looked like a restart was on the way when when everybody hit the brakes. Let's try again. It looks like it's a standing start this time. I think it might be another rolling start. So the red lights will come on. Everything will look normal, and we're going to get into it again, Jackson.
We've gotten this pump fake a handful of times where I've thought it's a rolling start, but it's actually a standing start. This looks to be a fully-fledged green flag, I believe. I think this is actually a green flag run because we are 4 wide into turn number 1. Jonathan trying to fend off these two down low. Jonathan and Christopher. Look at Cody in the blue machine trying to make up a handful of positions. Are we going to come out of turn number 1 in one piece? Ali Solanes gained a handful of positions in the process. Mike, it's looking good here as we work our way to the end of Sector 1.
It's very hard to believe that considering we were 5 wide at one point in time heading into the braking zone, but yeah, everything looks to be green flag running. I say that Cody and Braden missed the braking zone just slightly and send themselves off into the kitty litter. Contact is underway, and immediately Jonathan, who was our race leader at the beginning of this, has been taken down to the bottom of the order. Everybody's still managing, and look at Ali. He's managed to gain some good ground as well. What is happening in the background? Moves from Isaac on to Cody, and he sails on by, making that look easy.
Could be crucial to make these moves early on because you don't know when you're going to be on the same part of the racetrack as these guys. Again, where they have that pace, where they're struggling. We still don't really know where these true overtaking opportunities are on track just yet. We're going to see an attempt at turn number 1 here. Andrew Janis going down low on Roman Lee. And these two young guns have been sparring partners for a very long time. Andrew Janis going late on the brakes into turn number 13, comes back and collects Jonathan. He'll pinball and go wide off track, and we're already getting the things out here.
Andrew Janis might be an extremely talented driver, but the problem is he missed qualifying. He doesn't have the amount of time on this car track combo as everybody else does, and it's showing. He's missing braking zones here and there. He's basically just trying to follow the leader right now and learn the circuit, then kind of pull the trigger and go for some moves. A little bit further up the field, Cody and Isaac still having their scrap, and Braden getting involved. He made a whole heap up of ground at the beginning. Now, facing the pressure from behind, heading down the backstretch, or the second backstretch. Not going to be looking at a move just yet, but Isaac, can he go down to the inside? That's a move that isn't really on, and he clatters, it looks like, Braden, and has to hand the position over to Cody.
Not too hungry as Cody will mosey on through for P5. Isaac lucky there with that contact. He almost went fully around there in turns 5 and 6. And Jonathan continuing that drive forward, trying to go the long way around. Now a crossover as we work our way through the S's. Big wiggle there for Andrew Janis as he gathers it back up turn number 9. He's got Andrew all over, he's got Jonathan all over his rear bumper as now he once again will try the outside into turn number 12. How late does Andrew brake here to try and defend Jonathan with the nose ahead in the outside? Can become the inside. Jonathan not with enough pace though to make that move stick.
No, not just yet, but this looks like a battle of mistakes as everybody is overdriving. You can see just how slippery it is as well. The car clearly not getting up to temperature as quickly as you would expect. We're on lap 3 at this point, or coming on to lap 3, and really the tires seem to be all over the place. Looking at a move though down into the first corner. Let's see if we can make it stick. It's a long ways back, but it's a long ways for a move. He thought about it, Jonathan did, but Andrew, certainly a little bit wiser, he says, no, that move is not possible. You're definitely not coming from that far back, and he holds his ground and doesn't defend.
Not seeing as big of a slipstream as you might expect here as we run into turn 4, and for a handful of reasons. One, obviously, we mentioned less air, or should I say thinner air, as we would expect. Again, Mexico City, one of the highest altitude metropolises on the globe, and that makes things difficult for the cars for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, less air going into the engines, that means less boom, but on top of that, these cars, the only real source of downforce being that massive rear wing sat on the back. You can see how much Andrew's wishing he had a little bit more right now as he is sliding on the top. Jonathan gonna try and chuck it up the inside of turn number 9. Not able to get there just yet. Downforce, though, one of your biggest sources of drag, and when you've got a Formula 1 car or an open wheeler that has, you know, a giant front and rear wing attached to it, it is punching. It's doing a great job of keeping it glued to the car, or glued to the ground, I should say. But it's paying an ultimate price for that, Mike. It's punching a colossal hole in the atmosphere, and that's what makes the draft so effective. When this thing is built quite literally like a bullet, that's what makes this draft so difficult. But Jonathan right here might be in range to make a move happen.
Yeah, let's see the slipstream playing massive roles here. Roman, by the way, dropping down the order. I'm not sure what happened to him, though. Down to the inside for now is going to be Jonathan. Andrew seemingly not fighting this. I think he sees that the writing is on the walls. A big lockup, though, for Andrew, for Jonathan, as he tries to make the move. Andrew, though, holds his ground firmly, and he makes the position stand. What a defense from the young Andrew Janis.
Good stuff, and immediately realized, I think we've talked about this as well, both in the MX-5 stuff, as Isaac, oh my goodness, look at this, 3 wide, coming out of turn number 6. Are you kidding me? Cody, Isaac, and Roman Lee, as Roman Lee's trying to fend off both of these guys. Isaac goes off into the kitty litter, coming through turn number 9. They bump again. Isaac continues to go off track. Cody somehow able to hang on to it. Is Isaac able to fend on to P6 here? Unbelievable driving here from Isaac.
Yeah, I do have to agree with that. He did go fully off the circuit about 15 times and kept it flat every single time, which, hey, you know, if you it when in doubt, flat out, that's definitely a saying I've heard before. But it's certainly going to be very frustrating if your name is Cody, as he looks on to his rival now saying, man, more than likely shaking his fist in anger at this point, and I would not be surprised to see a dive bomb. However, I think the gap is a little bit too much right now. 139.7 for Isaac, and Cody not able to match. He will be able to gain up down this back straight, but the move not on this occasion. And look at the gap to Roman. So Roman is back out, by the way, and he's back out in 5th, so I'm not sure what that was all about.
Cody making his Pro Series debut tonight around, I believe, 3 or 4 other drivers. We saw Cody a little bit on the tail end of last year doing the MX-5 fight night on Wednesdays. Looking to be on the top end of the field right now. Still fending off from Isaac. Both of these guys as well trying to fight the and get to Roman Lee. But further back, or further up I should say, Ali Solane has found the back of Christopher Harrell. Unfortunately for him, he's at one of the most tight and technical parts of the racetrack. And for a GT1 car that's got such a long wheelbase, it's definitely not limousine long, but when you come out of driving an MX-5 car, out of driving a GR86, and go into something this long, it might as well feel like a limousine. Lowest part of the racetrack, hairpin at turn 13, then the twin right-handers, 15, 16, and 17. Ali had a little bit of a look to the inside, Mike, not able to make it stick.
No, and got a very poor exit. This is not what Ali wanted. Chris is going to walk away as he sets the fastest lap of the session. So Chris absolutely flying up at the front of this field. He's got a 5.7 second gap. Christopher behind, he's feeling the pressure right now. And with that, I would imagine Ali maybe doesn't want to apply the most at this stage. Maybe just try to gain back up to Chris. I don't know if they're really in the space to do that. I think that Chris is sort of shown his dominance and said, I'm winning this one, and I'm going to be more than likely, well, starting in last in the next race. Keep in mind, folks, in 10 minutes time, we're going to have a little bit of a break, and then we come back for a reverse grid race, and we're going to see all the top 10 switched around. So Chris will be starting in 10th. Eli, as it stands, would be starting in first. It'll be an absolute roll of the dice to begin with, but I'm certainly going to be here for it. Behind here, it looks like Andrew getting by, or Andrew falling back down the order, so some issues here for Andrew Janis.
Maybe got a little bit too ambitious as he's already trying to charge forward around the outside there, turn 12, or correction there, turn 5, excuse me, making a move on Pat. Carbon copy of what we saw from Jonathan earlier. Did Tim and Timothy in the MX5 series that we constantly got confused with for the Pro Series last year? I think so. So we've got that continuing a little bit further up, Chris and Christopher. And this battle continues. Cody trying to make that move stick on Isaac. Look at this, down low in turn number 17. We've seen that attempted a couple times further back. Ali tried making that move on Christopher for P2, but that could absolutely ruin your chances on a run here down the back straightaway. 700-yard dash to try and defend now for Isaac. And Cody pedaling with all of his might to try and close that gap. Not late enough on the brakes to make that lunge just yet. Isaac holding on to P6.
Nicely done for Isaac, and really not looking like he's feeling the pressure behind that. Cody smashes a curb and loses all of his momentum. We talked about how important that momentum can be. Roman carrying his momentum there almost into the back of Braden briefly. That causes him to have to lift off the throttle, lose a bit of time, and then immediately Braden makes a mistake back. This seems like an inevitable move at this point. Roman Lee, very, very competitive driver throughout the entirety of the field, drives in a lot of different series, and now we're going to be seeing him potentially take advantage of Braden. Not at this point, down the tightest part of the track, but as we get to the start-finish straight, almost certainly this move is going to be made.
Big cut through 10, big runoff through 11. That's a car around further back. Ali Solane swapping ends on the tail end of turn 11. And the guy that was looking for his first ever Pro Series podium has the boulder roll to the bottom of the hill.
And you absolutely hate to see that, and it's very uncharacteristic, I would say. Ali being Mr. Consistent, as I've dubbed him in the past, and in this car, we haven't seen too many oversteery moves. We haven't seen any real incidents. Now, Ali was in that battle a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if that played any role, but for the most part, I think he maybe overcommitted on Christopher. I don't know. It's the unfortunate part here. We don't get to see the replay of it, but the results, they are the same. Ali, he's back to 8th.
Big benefit there for Roman Lee, who now with this battle with Braden becomes the duel for the bottom step of the podium. Braden realizes it, and he is wide open on the right foot there, coming out of turn number 6. Roman Lee, look here. Into turn number 7, won't go for it just yet. You still see Isaac and Cody going at it just a little bit further back. As well, how's that gap looking out in front? Christopher and Braden Chris and Christopher very much spread out, and both of those guys very clear in this battle of for 4th and 5th. As it looks like a little bit further back. Let's go further back. Yeah, Isaac and Cody really going at it. Cody goes a little bit late on the brakes. I think maybe locked it up or went a little bit too wide there, Mike, but he drops down to P6.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of swapping around right now, and it seems that's the trend everywhere you look in the field. We have our little battle packs forming. Currently, it's a 2-horse race with Chris and Christopher. There's a pun there. I don't know. I'm not clever enough to find it. But the 2 Chris's are off into the lead and currently into the Mexican sunset, having a great time. 6.5 minutes left. So more than likely we'll be taking this one. However, anything can happen in motor racing, and we certainly have seen that with Ali already looping it around. Roman and Braden, still the question mark for who's going to be on the bottom step of the podium right now. Braden having a very, very poor qualifying. Now, though, Roman taking full advantage, gets the move down, but is he going to be able to hold it off? He's overcommitted, down a little deep, and what a defense from Braden.
Carbon copy of what we saw earlier on with Andrew Janis. This fight is not over though. Braden immediately covering down low. Now goes back at it. Roman trying to swing it wide here into 4 and 5. This exit could be paramount because if you're able to roll that speed through 5 and 6, if you're able to get a right exit, you might be just in time to make a move out of the S's and into turn 12. But Braden is starting to feel the pressure from your defending World of Racing 24 of Le Mans champion, working his way through 9 and 10. And man, Roman Lee continuing to put the pressure on the rookie Braden for P3. Here he goes, late look. We'll have to go the long way around into turn 12. We know how late he's been on the brakes. He could make the long way around work. He might try a crossover here into the baseball diamond. Not able to make it work just yet. Braden continuing to cover down low. And Braden continuing to fend off and hold on to that bottom step of the podium.
Weaving around more than a knitting grandma, but let's see, Roman, he gets a great exit through the final corner. The momentum is in his favor. Braden is going to be a sitting duck down this 3/4 of a mile long straight. And the inside line for Roman, this should be every single advantage for him, but we've seen it doesn't play out that way every single time. Down into the braking zone, Roman clobbers the curb, nearly takes flight, and Braden manages the defense. Still holding on. It might be by a thread, but he's certainly got a firm grip of it.
What's happened to Cody further back? He's spun around and I think he's dropped to P5 here, Mike. He was in contention for front running as well, but now he finds himself 2 seconds back from this battle. We'll have to wait and see as once again, Roman trying to make it stick on the outside, go late on the exit, late on the apex, I should say, and try and make that move stick. 4.5 minutes on the clock for Roman Lee to still try and make that move stick using all of that curbing on the inside. I'm very, very surprised with how Roman's driving this right now. I think he's trying to set it up here so that on exit he can maybe go inside for turn 12. Braden really knows that though. You see him continue to cover on the brakes here into the baseball diamond. Looks like issues for Isaac as well. Jonathan able to make another position as now he's gained 6 spots after spinning turn 1 of lap 1. But Roman Lee trying to find a way here around Braden for P3. You've got Cody working his way into the mix, not too far behind. If these two continue to battle, Mike, it'll be a matter of time before it becomes a 3-car fiasco.
And I think Roman wants to avoid that at all costs. This is the same exact move that he had on the previous lap. However, this time he has maybe a little bit more speed, runs his opponent out wide, avoids the curb on this occasion, and finally, with enough effort, anything is possible, and Roman Lee has gained the position onto the bottom step of the podium over Braden. Now, though, Braden immediately has to look in his rearview mirror because Cody is already caught up.
At full esteem for Braden, but he's unfortunately more worried about defending from Cody, I think, than putting the pressure on Braden. You just saw that light blue number 66 go a little bit too wide through 5 and 6. And again, we've talked so much about the grip being very loose on the painted asphalt, on the curbs. You've seen Braden give it a lot of opposite locks so far tonight, and you're seeing it again right here as he continues to lose ground. Roman Lee for the first time doing what he's been unable to do what anybody has done against Braden. Build a gap on a track as tight and technical as this. As now 1.3, 1.2 seconds the gap between third and fourth. You've got Cody right there as well. If he could make a move on Braden, he could very likely be in the running for the podium as well. He's got 2 minutes to do so.
Yeah, and Roman right now, that is a massive amount of pressure lifted off his shoulders. He can kind of just cruise now. He knows he has the pace that's quicker than Braden, a 1:35.8, nearly setting one of the fastest laps of the session. Braden cannot answer that. Behind that, he's in a defense right now from Cody, who's trying to claw his way around the outside. I'm not sure it's going to work, but there's a tremendous amount of overspeed for Cody. Braden, though, he is quite apt at defending the first quarter, and Cody has not quite made it work on this occasion. I thought he sailed off the track there, but no, just a little bit of an early braking, and he decides to back out. Thinks about it down the next straight, but I don't think the move is going to be on. He sells a dummy, though, to the outside. Can he send it late? No. As the fire breathes into the braking zone, everything is as it was.
Nobody interested in using the curving there on entry either. That is going to be lockup city if you try and throw the anchors on while you've got a tire or two on the curbing. That's exactly how we've seen a couple cars go around here at Mexico City, primarily when the World Endurance Championship has visited here. Very frequently, though, whenever we see sports cars here, we see a lot of curbs being used, far more than the open wheelers. We're seeing that right now as Cody continues to put the pressure on. He thinks he's got plenty of pace still in that silver 30. He just has not been able to find the space. And Roman Lee continues to build that gap, 2.3 now between them. When you look out in front, Chris Lovell with a monster gap to the remainder of the field. 12 seconds and change over Christopher Harrell, Roman Lee and company. That is a huge shot to the remainder of this field, as one of the first guys to really get this car track combo dialed in.
And look at that, Jonathan setting the fastest lap. He's pretty much, I think, gotten to the point as well where he feels dialed in. The problem is the damage was dealt on the first lap. He's down in 6th position, even if he catches Cody, which at this point is not looking that likely. We are on the white flag lap, and unfortunately, if there was 2 more laps, realistically, I think Jonathan could have found himself in 4th. It's just unfortunate the way that the cookie crumbles, and here we see, though, a move from Cody down to the inside of Braden. It's been a long time coming. He's been trying to find any opportunity to get by. A mistake, though, is there's going to be a little bit too much curb usage for Braden. Cody works his way down. Oh, but he gets punted from the back, and Cody is going to go around. Braden, unfortunately, is going to be the responsible party for that.
World of Racing officials will probably have a look at that as well, but what a duel it's been between Braden, Jonathan, Roman Lee. Nobody seemingly has found themselves in more battles tonight than Braden, but Jonathan gonna try and make it stick for one more lap, or one more position, I should say. Checkered flag is out. Chris Harrell, your winner for race number 1, as Jonathan tries to get himself into the top half of the field. Is he able to make it stick? Braden just has a couple more corners. Christopher Harrell, Roman Lee looking to join him on the podium. Jonathan trying to make it work on exit. They'll drag race. Jonathan's drifting across the line. Braden home in P4, Jonathan P5.
What a finish. I thought that there was a chance that Jonathan could make that work in the final sector, but no, not going to happen on this occasion. And this is going to be our winner, of course, Chris, who sailed the victory. Really, not much to talk about for him in this one. Just kind of consistent hot lapping every single time around. Got a solid start and never looked back. Christopher, maybe not the most trivial way to the podium. Ollie gave him quite the hard time, but unfortunately, something at some point happened to Ollie, and he dropped back down the order and finished in 7th. Roman, a hard full charge through the field, finishing on the bottom step of the podium.
Look out front, though. Both of those guys not really getting a lot of opportunities to show their overtaking abilities, and they'll have to do what Jonathan did for the vast majority of race number 1, and that's drive through the field. You look at Jonathan, though, he'll be rolling off P5, just exactly where he is right now, maybe P4, seeing how this balances out for race number 2. We'll have to wait and see, but we'll step aside here for just a brief moment from Mexico City, race number 2 of the Pro Series, when we return. We welcome you back to opening week for the World of Racing Pro Series. Jackson Lambros, Mike Naus. Let's start with this, Mike. It was only 10 cars tonight, but we've got the cream of the crop. And personally, I feel like we got a little bit surprised with how much wheel-to-wheel action we kind of expected there. But your reaction from race one and what maybe we can expect here from race two?
I expect a little more discretion at the start. Now, I said, obviously, you know, we can go back to the whole, oh, Mike was right thing, right? No, I wasn't right. I predicted it's going to be a clean start. It's going to be calm. Everybody's going to be so gentle to each other. I could not have been further from the actual answer. It was an absolute bloodbath at the start. And hopefully we see a little bit less of that. So the drivers probably are going to be warned in their ear. Hey, guys, let's calm it down a little bit. Let's have a clean race start. But beyond that, once we got into the racing, obviously we had the Jonathan incident where he ended up getting knocked down the order, as well as Ollie, two sort of surprises that we didn't expect. But with this reverse grid in play, obviously Chris dominating. I don't think there's any other way of putting it. He's starting last now. So when it comes to the points, is this where you want to be? I mean, Chris has the pace to clearly go through the field, but this is the most likely spot to get caught up in an incident. Christopher as well, going to be in a little better spot. I wonder if Christopher can get ahead of Chris into this next race and potentially maybe hold him off.
We'll have to wait and see. I think as well, because we are going to have Obviously, World of Racing stewards taking an eye on the action that's going to unfold here. You've already can only imagine that Braden and some of the incidents he was involved in, that could also tack an asterisk on how things are slotted in once we get to the end of the night. But we'll have to wait and see. Here we go. Pat and Eli on the front row. Then Braden again, who kind of got the chrome horn unintentionally further back, will be in P3. Isaac, Cody, Elisa Lanek looking to run that back and maybe find his way back up to the podium. But crucially, you've got Chris Harrell alongside Roman Lee and Andrew Janis once again all the way back from P12. Who's going to win the last one of the night? Let's find out. Let's go racing once again from Mexico City. No coverage from Pat as Eli looking to go down low. Same thing with Braden. Thought about the inside. Now we'll try the long way around. He's got nowhere to go. You got Braden going very late. You've got Isaac going later into turn number 1 for the second time. How are we looking further back? Looking like Roman Lee is going to be the first one out of a little bit of contact between Braden, Ali, and Isaac. But we stay clean and green in the run to turn 7.
This is the start that we're looking for. Braden getting off to a very solid one as well, up into third, but getting dived on by Ali, who's going to get a very good opportunity now to capitalize on the mistakes of Braden. He runs a little bit wide, though, and forces Ali off the track. That does not keep Ali out of it, though. He keeps his foot firmly planted. Doesn't make it happen, though. Ali backs off and is going to have to live to fight another day. Pat leading Isaac, leading Braden right now. The order in the back, still not as shuffled up as I would have expected. Jonathan only up a couple positions, and currently Chris up into 5th. My goodness, he has made easy work of that back.
Level P5, Chris Harrell, P7, a little bit further back. You just see him come into the picture. Now it's Andrew Janis trying to go the long way around. Just a little bit further back, you see Braden trying to make a move as well on Ali Solane. Look at this as well. You got Braden continuing to battle. And the two blue 66s go at it coming out of turn number 16. And all of a sudden, I feel like maybe the discussion at the start of the race or in between 1 and 2 was coexist into turn number 1, Mike. But the minute we all get through as one pack, then we can get things out.
My goodness, I think that was even, if you blink and you missed that move from Andrew Janis in the final corner. He just made an easy opportunity of a mistake from Chris and got by in a hurry. Christopher on Chris action. This is what we were looking for in the previous race. Now we get to see it. Christopher doesn't get the run needed, but oh, it's chaos and calamity as Pat, Roman, Jonathan all collected, it looks like, and Ali, after all is said and done, is the one leading this race.
How about that? Ali Solane came into round number 1 trying to fight for the podium. He's on the sharp end now, fending off from Braden. How about this as well? Chris Lovell up nearly 10 positions as well. Finds himself in P4, now P3, because Andrew Janis is all over him. You've got Christopher Harrell just behind Roman Lee and Jonathan. It is anyone's race here, and we've still got 17 minutes to walk you through here from race number 2 in Mexico City. And Chris Lovell is fending off a very angry pack of drivers looking to capitalize after so many had luck not going the way they wanted for race number 1. Janis from the top rope goes very late on the brakes into turn number 12. That'll be at least 2 or 3 positions lost. Maybe no, he's able to patch it up in P4. Christopher going, now Jonathan going deep. So too is Cody working through the baseball diamond. Blink for 1 second, and one of these drivers could be up 5 positions, down 8 positions. It is a beehive from P4 on back.
Andrew there just on damage control as he lost a tremendous amount of time to the driver up ahead. Chris 1.3 seconds now into the lead. Pat under threat, but trying to hold that inside line. Jonathan works his way out, but he gets squeezed to the outfield, and then Pat gets punched in the back. Eli feels bad about it, yields his brakes. A miscommunication at best, certainly a mistake, but my goodness, chaos. Pat squeezes Jonathan. Eli getting caught up, I'm assuming just watching the action, forgets to hit his brakes and takes out the victor, takes out the culprit, and then everything is the same pretty much. My goodness.
Ali Solane out in front is adoring the melee that is unfolding behind. And for the Pro Series vet, for the MX5 Series vet, Mr. Consistent knows that all he's got to do right now, all he can do in this moment, is pay zero attention to that virtual rear view mirror just above him and just lock in, put in solid, clean green laps and try and build that gap to Braden. Chris Lovell is going to do nothing but make that more difficult for Braden to claw that in, because he is all over the bumper for him. Further back, now it's another comeback drive further back. Roman Lee going out to make it nearly 3 wide into turn 12. That's Eli, Pat, and Cody. Roman trying to cut it late and will take 2 positions in that corner.
Nicely done. He's going to make it one more, maybe, as we get into the arena and onto the exit. Not on this occasion. He mounts the curb, nearly gets high centered on it. That's going to cause a little bit of strife, but no. On to the final corner. He gets a brilliant exit, and this is going to almost certainly allow him to sail on by. It looks like Pat, though, getting a very competitive exit as well. Getting down to the braking zone, though. Roman's going to have to assert his dominance here. Late on the brakes is the move. Can he make it work? No, he backs out, lets Pat here lets Pat ahead for now, and Roman, capitalizes on the switcheroo. A high IQ decision, then he gets forced off the track. Hip checks Pat in response. You race as you get raced against, says Roman. And now Eli nearly sending it 3 wide. Roman, is he going to get on by? Certainly with no love lost, or with a little love lost, I guess. Pat is going to get left in the dust.
Chrome Horn becoming the weapon of choice for many of our drivers here in race number 2. Pat, who rolled off from the front row, clearly does have pace right now in that 31. He's just got to find a way back to the front and by these guys. And Roman Lee, for the first time in a while, has some clean air coming to the nose of the 30. He'll try and find his way to Jonathan about 8.5 seconds up the road. We check in for this battle a little bit further back. Chris Lovell has now fully found the back of Braden. We're at that point now. I'm going to call this a battle now for P2, but Braden does such a good job in that final corner. 16 runs it wide, then gets that late apex on 17, and despite having one of the fastest guys just behind, he is case in point not able to close that gap in the run to turn number 1. How's it looking on the brakes? Big late lunge there from Lovell. He's much later than he would have wanted. Misses the first apex and now has to monster truck. Look at how much curve there Lovell takes compared to Braden. That is absolutely not something we can see in a wheel-to-wheel scenario. That's how Jonathan got Roman Lee around just a couple laps ago. You can monster truck, but you've got to be so careful and not colliding with the guy on the outside. A little bit late on the brakes now for Braden. Is Chris Lovell going to jam it low? He's going to attempt it here in turn number 6, has the nose ahead, but is he able to get the power down? You've got Braden on the inside. We'll go 2 abreast now into turn number 7. Braden able to get ahead. Chris Lovell trying to maybe cross him up. We'll still go 2 wide. Working our way through the S's. Braden, though, looking to survive for at least one more corner. Just a little bit of overlap. Chris is not done yet, though, trying to find any gap out of the S's into turn number 12. Middle of the track for Chris. Braden trying to go down low. Will try and go late on the anchors. No contact, no overlap. Some phenomenal defense for Chris, but Braden, just a little bit more impressive right now, is able to fend off from Chris Lovell.
Braden, call him the 8th wonder of the world, the Great Wall of Braden. Chris cannot get by no matter what he does. He can try to force a move saying, I'm going to hit you or I'm coming by, and Braden still says, nope, you're not going to hit me and you're not coming by. Now with a nearly 6/10 lead over Chris. Has he pushed his tires maybe a little too far? I don't think so at this case. Looking in the background, Christopher and Andrew, they're having a little bit of fun as well. Down to the inside goes Christopher, but not really with that much heart in the move. Andrew, all over the place, accidentally defends the position, and there's a chicane. Braden, what has happened there? Braden is retiring.
Something very awry in the 66. He's stopped on track. Could something mechanical have happened? These guys have damage on. It'd be potentially downshift too quickly. Ooh, a little bit of contact there. Pharrell into the rear bump of Jonathan. And now this is unfolded into a 3-car archipelago. going at it for this bottom step of the podium. Chris Harrell very well clear now, and Ali Solane very similar to what we saw in race number 1, but two different drivers now. And just at the tail end, you've got Chris Lovell trying to become a part of that as well. Jonathan, how many times are we going to retell this story? Guy down low, forcing him the long way around in turn number 12. Arcs it wide, that leaves it exposed to Christopher. Just consistently forcing the driver to go the long way through the baseball diamond. Jonathan nearly able to get a good enough exit, though, into the final sector. It's all about setting up for this final corner, giving yourself that chance to maybe make a move down the front straightaway. It is a game of cat and mouse, but the question is, who's going to make the move on who? Here goes Jonathan to the outside of Janice. Has the momentum, has the nose fully ahead, and I think Janice might actually slot in further behind. Back on the binders into turn number 1. Are we going to see any moves into the penultimate corner? Jonathan going very deep. Chris Lovell going around the outside. 2 positions, 1 chicane for Christopher Harrell. Unbelievable.
I am almost speechless after watching that. We're not done yet, though. Andrew coming immediately back and cracking a move to the inside and a little bit deep, forces Christopher off the circuit. There's contact, and that was almost certainly inevitable. I think anybody watching could have predicted that, but it's Christopher who comes out on top. Jonathan, who comes out second best. Roman, who's going to get a position for free. And Andrew, despite the fact that Andrew and Jonathan were glued at the hip since birth, they finally have boiled over, and the contact has happened. Andrew now down to 6th position.
We have seen some very clean, very ethical wheel so far in this second race, and that feels like the first big shift. But you gotta feel like Andrew kind of set the table there. That was a bonsai move on the anchors into turn 4 and got raced back the same way from both of the drivers. Just behind. He'll have to work his way back. Not as much, though, as Eli and Pat right now, 8th and 9th. They battle right now, again, trying to maximize their points. Eli in the top 5, I believe, was P4 after race 1. Pat started on the front row, but got swallowed whole by this field at the start of race number 2. They continue to go at it here, working into the baseball arena.
Oh, we can take a moment to breathe here. Jonathan, 5/10 off of Christopher, our closest battle. We have had constant seesawing action every single place that you look, and this being the calmest moment on the track. One battle that we're going to be seeing ahead of us right now. Certainly more to come as Eli gaining on Cody potentially. But right now, Jonathan, who is the quickest driver on circuit by a good bit, is a man on a mission. A podium is what his goals are. Second place would be nice, but 10 seconds to Chris is a long way to the top. Jonathan, he's looking to make the podium happen sooner rather than later, though, forcing the issue down at the bottom of the circuit here. But no, not going to find it just yet. The question that I'm asking myself, is this too early? Do you really want to make a fuss out of getting by it right now when there's 7.5 minutes left? Because I feel like this is just going to be another back and forth for Jonathan.
He's hungry, Mike. He was so strong in qualifying, nearly had a half a second on the grid. Plain and simple, the guy's got the pace. He's just trying to find a way through right now to get this move done on Christopher Harrell. And it'll continue to be a study session here for the next couple of laps. But you've got a really fast kid just behind as well in the form of Roman Lee. And I'm not sure, is Christopher maybe being a little bit of a bottleneck right now for Jonathan? Look at that big slide coming out of turn 17, and that's giving me all of the non-verbals. I gotta know, he's doing everything he can right now to try and make this move. And the guy who's already been on the podium tonight, Jonathan, looking for the first one in his Pro Series career. 6.5 minutes on the clock. No moves just yet. A little bit of a lockup further back from Harrell. Jonathan, he's been the tire whisperer. He's been the pedal whisperer. He's had phenomenal exits on these or on these corners all night long. That's exactly how he was able to get through half the field in race number 1. He's trying to make a big one here to find himself on the steps and potentially be one of the drivers walking away with cash in his pocket. Into the slowest corner on track, turns 5 and 6. And this has kind of surprised us so far tonight, Mike. We were expecting all these guys to be kind of conga lining through the S's. Roman Lee kind of figured out if you cut right here in turn number 8, you can set up a run into turn number 12. And these guys have been all over each other through this part of the racetrack.
Yeah, not going to be changing anytime soon. Pretty much every single battle we've seen through there has ended up with a tight fight or a dive bomb and a half. We've seen that, of course, from Andrew Janis, who made a few stick and a few maybe a little bit too ambitious moves as well. Speaking of that, where has... Oh, Braden, that's right. He's all the way down the order in last place right now. That's very unfortunate. What a race it could have been for Braden, as well as Isaac, one of the fan favorites. A big shout out as well to everybody that is watching live right now, as well as the VOD watchers after the fact. If you are enjoying that, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button here on the World of Racing YouTube channel. We appreciate each and every one of you. We know, again, let us know who you're supporting. Isaac being the fan favorite right now. Do you want to see Jonathan get on the podium? Do you want to see Christopher defend? Oh, as Jonathan there, a little bit of a commentator's curse, locks up, and Roman finds a free position.
Mosey's on through for P4, but again, a lot of talent looking to prove themselves, has not had the opportunity to just yet. Braden, the only retirement of the night. Isaac looked so strong, as we mentioned, Mike. But they'll obviously have next Thursday and the next handful of Thursdays in this second season. Oh my goodness, Ali Solane down to P2.
No.
What on earth has happened further back? Was there a mistake, Mike?
No, nothing's happened.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing's happened. We got
cool.
We got excited for no reason there. It's just a set of courses.
We both saw that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ollie is cruising right now. He wants his, as you mentioned as well in the previous race, this is his first podium as well that he's going to be going for, and on top of his first podium, his first race win in the Pro Series.
And very undramatic, just the way Mr. Consistent has liked it. Do we want to say that Jaws music maybe is starting 5 seconds and shrinking right now with Chris Harrell just behind? And let's see here, last laps, about 2/10 slower than Chris Lovell just behind. So not out of the woods by any means just yet. And again, just to remind you, Lovell on the front row for race number 1. Ali maybe was given a little bit too much beans early on. We'll have to wait and see. That could be a battle developing here with 3 minutes on the clock. We've already got a battle. We've had a battle here from P3 back to P5. And Jonathan very quickly after that contact is found in the rear of Roman Lee once again.
We have a battle for him. We had a war that's been going on, a knife fight in a phone booth for the past 20 minutes pretty much. Roman has joined this conversation later than he would have liked. He would have wished to be involved earlier, but no. He finally has the opportunity to find himself with a second podium as well. Roman finishing in third in the previous race. Of course, to remind you, the order was Christopher, Roman, then Braden, then Jonathan. So a little bit of a different order right now with Ali being at the top, but other than that, it's, well, actually exactly the same. That's crazy.
Stone cold consistency from a lot of these drivers, which is very, very impressive when you consider for so many of these guys, a car that's very unlikely they've driven prior to tonight, a track that maybe they've driven but definitely never have double dipped, and these guys very much adapting very quickly. I also love the fake branding here, as this is not a fully licensed, often imitated, never duplicated version of CDMX. I think instead of the Lenovo branding, it says Lol Nuevo, which is phenomenal. But back on board here, you're through the eyes of Andrew Janis as he continues to hunt. You look at a lot of these drivers, obviously, we mentioned Isaac and Braden. Oni was fighting really well for that top half of the field earlier on tonight as well. He finds himself in P6 trying to fend off from one of the most well-known drivers in the world of racing. Andrew Janis, I believe, just went purple. Be your fastest man on track. Try to put one more stop here to maximize his points haul for round number 1. Pretty much the quietest we've had the racetrack all night here for the remainder of the night. But again, we thank you so much for coming out again. The return of the World of Racing Pro Series. Worldofracing.com as well, if you want to get a piece of the action, whether it's just doing an arrive and drive or you want to join a part of the action and do the Pro Series. Again, cash prizes and the Invitational at the end of the year, looking for the best sim racers, primarily on the West Coast, but obviously in the Midwest as well. You're seeing some great battling as well. Roman Lee thinking about a move there on Christopher Harrell as he covers. This is going to go from flag to flag in the battle for the final step of the podium, as Christopher Harrell continues to fend off from Roman Lee and Jonathan. This will be the prime opportunity here. It'll be the last time, as it'll be the white flag coming out this time by. And it's another phenomenal exit for Christopher Harrell. But can any of these guys get any slipstream? If anything, it's Jonathan right now who's slowly but surely closing that gap. It could be a late lunge, a late look on the brakes, maybe to make a move, but neither of these drivers get it done. Look at how much they're trail braking as well, trying to rotate that car into 2 and 3. Second big overtaking opportunity coming up. Roman Lee going very wide, using all of that runoff curving on the exit. How's that going to go in the run here on Christopher? Nobody covering down low. White flag is out this time by Ali Solane. No pressure. Chris Level not going to get there in time. But this bottom step of the podium, just like race number 1, is anybody's guess.
Roman looking to make moves here in the final dying embers of the lap. But as we have it right now, this is going to be the Ali show, Jackson, as he is coming into the final sector now and getting ready to cross the line.
Mr. Consistent, as Mr. Naus has called him, he is seemingly finished in every position except P1. And that finally changes on a Thursday night in Tustin. Out of 17 for the final time. Ali Solane, you're a Pro Tour Series winner. Chris Lovell, home in P2. Who's won that battle further back? Roman Lee at the buzzer in turn 12 has made that move stick on Christopher Harrell. And he won't be able to respond. Roman Lee from the back of the field to the bottom step of the podium. A textbook drive for the vet.
Jonathan just slotting into 5th position behind, but a brilliant battle to finish. Unfortunately, we missed the move from Roman Lee that made his way onto the podium, but it seems like if there's ever a recovery drive to be had, if there's ever a chance to make up positions throughout the field, Roman Lee is the man that's going to do it. He is going to come from last up to 3rd. He's going to come from 3rd to 3rd, it seems like, in these races, at least for round 1 of the Pro League. I certainly hope to see him gaining some more as this one goes on, because my goodness, this sets an incredible prospect for the future of this Pro Series.
As it stacks up, and doing some quick math, again, as announcers, we're not great at doing that. But Chris Lovell, going to be your round 1, your week 1 winner. I should say, taking home that $125 in cash, and he will be your championship leader heading into race for week number 2. Let's get you back in the booth here with us and close things down after what has been a thrilling night of action here from Mexico City. And you really struggle to find words for that after a thrilling night of bringing us back to Pro Series action, Mike. I mean, battles, no matter where you looked, you had some new faces, some new guys getting victory for the first time. Where do you start to unpack this one after our first Thursday back?
Why don't we start off with our pole sitter in race 1? Because I feel like that's the one that we didn't talk about that much. Jonathan, somebody that coming into this, I expected obviously to have quite good pace, but whether or not he got caught up in the unlucky sphere or maybe made a push that was a little bit too much, the results ended up the same in both races, really. 5th position all the way through and through. And that's a difficult pill to swallow for somebody, I feel like, that knows that they're that fast, that has that pace. And as we move forward into these next rounds, I expect a little bit more out of Jonathan. But all in all, I think every single driver here tonight can pat themselves on the back and say that they put on a great show, because that they certainly did.
The best part, Mike, we're going to be doing this pretty much for the next Thursday for the foreseeable future. And we would love to have you with us again, worldofracing.com, if you want to get in on the action, as well as following us on all socials. That'll be at World of Racing HQ, both on Facebook and Instagram. Big thanks, as always, Mike mentioned it earlier, but Sigma Integrale giving us and all the drivers on the ground this next level feedback. And both of us have experienced firsthand. There is nothing in the world like it. It's time to land the plane, though, after an exciting week back. We're so glad to be back. We're so glad to have all of you back with us, and we look forward to another exciting season of War Pro Series action. It's been an AK Esports UK production. Alongside Mike Nouse, my name is Jackson Lambros, saying so long once again from the world of racing.